Inventing currency on the playground. This happens in human societies whether you have formal currencies or not. If you don't have a currency with a stamped face on it, you invent it. One of the things that really captivated me was understanding that if you have a primary school environment and you watch children in their natural habitat, a very unnatural habitat in most schools, young children don't have currency and they don't understand currency. But they invent currency. They start trading rubber bands, Pokemon cards, Tamagotchi, tokens of affection, tokens of popularity. Humans create currency as a means of expressing their desires, of expressing their individuality. I thought, what happens when a 5-year-old in a primary school can use a website to create Joey Coin to compete against Maria Coin in a game of popularity within their school? Then it dawned on me to ask the question, how many currencies will exist? It's equivalent to asking the question, how many bloggers will there be on the internet? The answer is simple, all of us. Currency is now a means of expression, but if everyone can create a currency, how does it derive value? And what does it mean? What is the difference between currency as an expression of popularity, an expression of desire, as a meme, as a fad, as a brand? Down there right now, Andreas points outside of an Down there right now, Andreas points outside of an auditorium. A Canadian teen idol contest is running. One of those contestants, Amir, has a big fan group. Maybe he wants to create a Mir coin so that his fans can express a desire to watch more of his dancing. Why not? People have talked to me about doing Andreas coin. I think it's a bit silly, but why not? I think at some point we're going to see things like this happen. We're not going to have hundreds of altcoins. We're not going to have thousands of altcoins. We're going to have hundreds of thousands and then millions of altcoins. Then there will be thousands of altcoins being created every day to organize local communities, to express fads, to create popularity contests, to codify the latest internet meme. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. Be sure to give us a thumbs up down below. This helps more viewers find the show. I was just reading a little book from the new book I got, The Internet of Money, by my pal, Andreas Antonopoulos. Of course, the real thing I'm curious about these speeches is how many of them did I attend in person? I kind of want to go through and mark all the ones that are at the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup that I had the pleasure of attending in person. But this one was from the Bitcoin Expo 2014 in Toronto, Canada. So interesting stuff from Andreas. He often used to talk about Joey Coin on the early Bitcoin shows, and we talk about making currencies on the playground and exchanging them and the values of this. And I don't know if it justifies the altcoins, but it's some interesting thoughts from Andreas way back in 2014. But let's just get right into it. It's the 4th of July, and this is Bitcoin Talk Show. The price of Bitcoin is up 2.47% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,703, a high of 6,782, and a low of 6,438. That's $1 for 14,932 satoshis, just under, the 15,000 satoshi barrier. Good place to be. Bitcoin remains on the hunt for 7K despite price pullback. Bitcoin has pulled back from 11-day high, but the short-term outlook remains bullish, technical studies indicate. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we did break over the neckline of 6,341, and now if you're looking at it now, it's gone up even more. Daily chart. Let's go straight to the view. Bitcoin is seen rising to $7,000 in the short term and could rally further if a move towards the psychological hurdle is backed by a sharp rise in the daily trading volume. Volume is key here. Many of the previous rallies have been low volume rallies. We need some high volume buying. If I can get the volume here, it doesn't even show me the volume. Okay, better chart next time. We'll see. A break below 6,341. Former resistance turned support would weaken the bull case. However, only a daily close below 6,275 would abort the bearish view. A daily close below 5,755 would signal a revival of the sell-off from the May high of 9,990 and would shift a risk in favor drop to 5,400. Bitcoin technical analysis. Bitcoin has formed a bearish pennant pattern. Price could be packing its bag to head south. Isn't it great with economists? It's almost like you can get one to say one thing and one to say another thing, and it'll rain and it'll be sunny at the same time. So keep your eyes onto this. I'm not sure how this fits into the current pop out above 6,700 that we're on right now, but it is worth keeping in mind that there are differences of opinion on this. Some people think that we've hit the bottom and that we're out of it. We're going bullish all the time now. Other people still see it going lower. And still other people think that it's gonna rain and snow at the same time. I don't know. The Bitcoin price leaped up twice in 4 days. These are the things pushing it up from Forbes. Let's see what they got. Coinbase custody. Despite the surge of institutional money that poured into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in 2017, there could be a lot more to come. To encourage big investors into the space, Coinbase, one of the largest cryptocurrency wallet providers, wants to make blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it sounds like Coinbase is stealing Zappo's idea and they'll hold your funds for you. So if you're really rich and you're having a problem getting into Bitcoin before, now you can get into it at Coinbase. So that's great. There was a positive EU research paper entitled Virtual Currencies and Central Banks Monetary Policy Challenges Ahead. And as it says here, the research paper found that virtual currencies are relatively safe, transparent, and fast. Financial regulators may dislike virtual currencies. Let's not start using the word VC, venture capitalist. Why are you trying to confuse virtual currency, which is already a bad one, right? They're not virtual currencies, they're real. They're not in a VR environment. They are cryptocurrencies, right? Their common link is cryptography. Their common link is not that they're not real. Also, people already know the term VC, especially in the startup Bitcoin software area. So let's not call them VCs. This is just ridiculous. Once again, see how they get with the financial jargon. They want to confuse you. They want to scare you away. They want to make articles harder for you to read so that you won't read them. Forbes is old hat at this. This is classic for them. Financial regulators may dislike virtual currencies because of their anonymity or cross-border circulation. Such concerns may be legitimate in some instances, but not be but must not be generalized. In some cases, transactions in virtual currencies result from the free business choices of economic agents and therefore should be treated by regulators as any other financial transaction or instrument. That is, proportionally to their market importance, complexity, and associated risks. The Center for Social and Economic Research wrote. Trying to read too fast today. There's also a new Bitcoin exchange in Japan from SBI Holdings. This sounds great. Of course, they're calling it virtual currencies. Oh, well, so much for that one. And blah, blah, blah. You can also buy XRP. That's great. Crypto markets hold recent gains. Bitcoin gaining momentum over $6,500 price point. And I mainly wanted to bring this article on to show the awesome graphic. Look at Bitcoin trying to do some pull ups there. Go, Bitcoin, go. And then they showed this big red green Christmas tree thing. Ooh, it's like Christmas. Extreme Bitcoin mining aids an unexpected revolution in Iceland. Now, I don't think anybody knows what the word revolution means anymore, so I'm going to assume that the Vikings are not out in the streets. But after devouring nearly as much energy as all of Iceland's households combined, which is a real problem because they've got free geothermal energy right there in the earth ready to be tapped, Iceland is looking past the faddishness of cryptocurrencies and towards other projects that need the same kind of infrastructure that Bitcoin miners rely on. These could include areas like deep learning applications for self driving cars or automatic translators, similar to the idea that Bitmain put out that they could create these chips to do the AI thinking behind the scenes. Then you could just farm out your AI thinking to a huge farm of AI machines. Iceland, with their fantastic energy resources and temperate climate, you don't even need air conditioning, could be perfect for this. That little island could be the server farm of the future. Pretty exciting. Where's the revolution? I'm not seeing any revolution. It sounds like they're just gonna do some business and mine some Bitcoin and maybe mine some AI, have some more server farms. So I'm good for that. Remember in the book Snow Crash, they talked about lots of server farms in Brazil. It didn't make a lot of sense because it's really hot there. But just in general, some country has to become Tesser Ashpool, right? Some country has to become the AI center. Why not Iceland? Fun fact, on my way to Europe, I had a flight that went through Iceland. So I got to touch down there and spend a couple of hours in the country. A couple hours on a little bit of time on the tarmac, looked around. I didn't see the country for real, but fascinating that I've actually been there, even if briefly. Bitcoin's debates, beat it, defeated bear. Digitized gold can only, this is crap. Digitized gold is the only type of crypto that can succeed. Yeah, because fiat currency has had so much troubles. Remember when they took fiat currency off the gold standard in the 70s? Oh, so much troubles. So, yeah, this is more nonsense from Peter Schiff. As it says here, he technically lost to Shapeshift CEO and crypto commentator Eric Voorhees in a Bitcoin debate at the Soho Forum on July 2nd. The two financial thought leaders debated about the top cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and its underlying technology, blockchain, questioning the potential for mass adoption and comparing Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies with asset types such as fiat money and gold. I also love that fiat money has become a mainstream expression. You used to say fiat money, you were either some kind of anti-Federal Reserve person or maybe some kind of libertarian person. But now, at least in this relatively mainstream Cointelegraph article, they just casually refer to money as fiat money. In case you haven't been keeping score, fiat means let it be done. So when Congress acts, they act by order of fiat. When Congress wants to make 1,000,000 bombers, they say, let it be done. And they print the money that makes 1,000,000 bombers. So they don't actually have the money to print those bombers. Voorhees, the Bitcoin bull of the debate, claimed that Bitcoin will eventually become a substitute for state backed money, while government structures would be reorganized using blockchain technology. Maybe not the second part. Voorhees argues that Bitcoin is supremely good money, praising its provable scarcity, divisibility, durability, fungibility, portability, and decentralized nature, stating Bitcoin will win because there is now competition in money, and Bitcoin is the best money currently available. Because it's decentralized, it cannot be stopped. I agree with that. A single Syscoin cost 96 Bitcoins on Binance. Issues purportedly patched. Syscoin's blockchain was reportedly jeopardized yesterday as abnormal activity took place at block 87670. Widely irregular trading activity took place on Binance, resulting in a deal worth upwards of $6 million. Syscoin's team confirmed the issues and requested a temporary halt of trading across cryptocurrency exchanges. The issues, however, have reportedly been resolved. So it looks like strange activity. There was a protocol level attack. It was not a 51% attack. There's other things raising suspicions. One Syscoin, 23 cents, was traded for 96 Bitcoin on Binance. Oh, wow. Well, congratulations to whoever bought that one. I don't know if they're selling into themselves or some kind of thing like that. But wow. Okay. And of course, just like everything else, I've never heard of Syscoin before. I'm sure it's great. Maybe you have a bag full. I don't know, but it went crazy yesterday. Florida is creating its own crypto czar. Florida man to manage crypto in Russia. The Sunshine State's chief financial officer, Jimmy Patronis, that's something you could summon, said in a statement Tuesday that he's created a new position to supervise the state's cryptocurrency industry. He explained that the new overseer will be tasked with enforcing applicable regulations and to protect investors from potentially malicious actors. Well, what's he going to do about the stock market? Florida can no longer remain on the sidelines when it comes to cryptocurrency. I have directed my office to create a position that will oversee how current securities and insurance laws apply to initial coin offerings, ICOs, boo, and cryptocurrencies. Yay. as well as shape the future of these regulations in our state. Bravo, Patronus. Bravo, Florida, I guess. And it says at the bottom, he wants to keep pace with demand and not deter innovation. But how will you know that you're doing that until afterwards? And we take your donations here on the World Crypto Network in Bitcoin. Yesterday, I didn't take a show. I took some time off and I was able to create a little graphic. Everyone always says, why don't you take this coin? Why don't you take that coin? Well, now we're taking all the coins that are on the Trezor, except Zcash, which I need to do some kind of update to my Trezor to do, which scares me a little bit. Every time they say update your Trezor, they say have your recovery key handy. That means there's a chance that your upgrade could fail. I remember when you're doing an upgrade on the Trezor, you're upgrading the firmware. Firmware is a serious upgrade, right? Firmware is a do not reset your computer, do not unplug your computer. Pray that you don't have a power outage update, because if you have a failure in the middle of a firmware update, you're probably going to brick the device. Now, if you brick your Trezor, you still have the recovery key, so you're fine as long as you have the recovery key. If you brick your Apple Watch or your Apple phone or Android or whatever, you can send it back to Apple and they'll fix it. So you have options. But yeah, be careful during those updates. Sometimes it's just an update, and other times it's a firmware update, and they really mean it. Let's see. Yeah, I've verified this on Twitter. I also put it out. I put some text versions there on Twitter. You guys can check it out. I created some bookmarks of various block explorers so I can check to see if I have received any donations. So far, I can tell you it's all zeros. But if you do have some Ethereum, Litecoin, Doge, Dash, Vertcoin, or Ethereum Classic, you could send those in. I don't know if I'll hold them forever. I don't know if I'll sell them. It's tough to tell, but probably, yeah, they say in the chat, turning them back into Bitcoin. Yeah, that's probably so. But let's keep going. The World Crypto Network Patreon is growing. We have 27 patrons donating $228 a month to support the World Crypto Network. Thank you so much for your support. Also, the Mad Bitcoins Patreon is doing well, with 82 patrons donating $510 a month. And on Mad Bitcoins, I'm trying to do these Patreon-only videos. They're called Lens. It's kind of like Snapchat. They disappear for some reason. I will do one right now. Now, this is me filming myself for Patreon. Hi, Patreon. I'm live again. Bye, Patreon. I have no idea. There it is. Hi, Patreon. I'm live again. And then now it's uploaded. So that was pretty fun. It's kind of like Snapchat. We're keeping an eye on the chat. Thanks so much to Seth for the $9.99 donation. He says, Happy 4th, Thomas. The bull season's back. And I hope so too. That'd be great. I did adjust my position. So if it goes up, I'm okay. And if it goes down, I'm okay. You should have a good position like that. Hopefully you have a good job. You're putting in a reasonable amount of money and you don't have to freak out if Bitcoin goes up or down or if the trend changes or whatever. But just be in a good position. And apparently there's something wrong with my webcam. I disagree with that. This is a really nice webcam. I think there's something wrong with my bandwidth, although I checked it before. I have 200 down and 20 up. So not sure what's going on with that. But I've got as what I can see, I have a good connection and a good webcam. So I have like a zillion windows open though. So I don't know. Yesterday, I ran a poll on Mad Bitcoin's Twitter. Should I update my iPhone? The winner was wait for the X Plus. 67% over get an 8 Plus now, which was 33%. 118 people voted. Thanks so much for your information. And other people said, nah, you should get Android. I said, I'm stuck on the pinball tables and just kind of the whole Mac thing. This guy agrees. He also plays pinball. Attack from Mars for the win. Yeah. And a lot of pinball stuff. Thanks so much to Asian Small Coins for giving me some information about the iPhone X. He says that the face unlock is magical. It unlocks even in the dark. He says it takes a 3D image of your face instead of a 2D image. And that sounds great to me because I was like, am I going to be cursing that thing 100 times a day? It doesn't unlock. It doesn't unlock. All those things. So it's great. I think it sounds good, and I'm going to wait for the X Plus. Also, FYI, I'm on the iPhone upgrade plan from Apple. If you want to get on that, they offer you free Apple Care and you get a new phone every year. So that sounds pretty good to me. You still have to pay for the phone with like a monthly fee, and it costs a bunch of money. But at least you'll get a new phone every year instead of a new phone every 2 years. And you've got the great insurance of Apple Care if you break it or whatever. I got a cool headphone hanger on Amazon. It's only 13 bucks, and I just wanted to highlight it because it's so much better than the other headphone hanger I bought, which I thought was gonna be really nice. The other one didn't have a little turny knob, so you had to use a tool every time you wanna tighten or untighten, and it didn't have this lip. It turns out the lip is a major key if you don't wanna have your headphones fall on the floor all the time, which is no good if you have nice headphones. So check those out. They're not as expensive as you might think. 13 bucks, cheap. I had some fun spam email that I spammed. FYI, anyone who sends a second spam email or a second ICO email, sorry, will get marked as spam. We haven't heard back from you yet. True, and you never will. Personal update, what my days are like now. Welcome, Morty, to Anatomy Park. And this is a live view inside my stomach. I had some stomach problems and I went to do some tests, and they're going to figure out what's going on. And I think I'm going to be okay. I'm going to change my diet and I'm going to try to improve things. So if you're not feeling well, it's worth it. Go to a doctor. They'll do some tests. It's a little uncomfortable. It's not very fun, but once you get through the tests, you'll get more information, and then you'll have a chance at getting better. If you know, let's not do what Steve Jobs did. Remember, Steve Jobs never went to the doctor, never listened to the doctor. He was too important and too busy. He knew better than them. Let's not end up like Steve Jobs. So it's a good lesson. Coming out soon, the Purge movie. I really want to go see this. Maybe we can talk more about this. When the Purge film started out, the first one's kind of a closet drama. It was shot for not a lot of money and mainly in one house. And it's this idea that America has a day where everyone can perform violence on each other. And it starts out as this kind of psychological thing that, like, you need to get your anger out. You haven't had a good purge in a long time. And then it becomes kind of this racist, classist thing where the upper classes are killing the lower classes. And it's a very interesting series of movies. They're releasing a fourth one called The First Purge, which shows what was like when the new founding fathers switched America over to the purge system. And what's so interesting about this movie is it takes place in America. It has pretty much a direct link and a direct line to America. So fascinating to see. Check out in Las Vegas on the Bitcoin Las Vegas meetup. We're having a meetup this Thursday at Craft and Kitchen in Los Angeles, or sorry, in Las Vegas. I'm reading terribly today at 7 p.m. So come join us. Join the Bitcoin Las Vegas meetup. It's a great meetup. We're just getting it started. We're doing just social meetups. It's kind of a tour of bars and restaurants in Las Vegas so far. So join us. That'll be fun. Uh, Facebook made their notification icon even more annoying by animating it, and I clapped, "Well played, bravo." And my buddy Rhett responded, he said, "Take the brightest minds, make them work in an open floor plan. This is what you get." And it is funny how much money Facebook has to finally come up with the idea of coloring in the little icons on the app and then to aggravatingly ring the bell at you. Yeah, I can see the red envelope. I know what I'm supposed to click on, but what if I actually wanted to read something instead of just going to notifications? Notifications are a big problem right now. They love to flash red envelopes at you. I love to turn them off, but at the same time, there's 3 or 4 apps that I have to read, and that means I have to look at your notifications so you don't have to ring a bell at me. I'm already aware that my job is to eliminate red envelopes. I quoted again. I said, "All I've ever wanted is a website where you can put in a Bitcoin address, set a goal, and get a thermometer that shows you when you meet your goal." And I've given this idea away several times. A friend did even build a version, but did not maintain it. I think it's really simple, and this idea is free for all. My friend DJ Booth saw this. He might pick it up. I think this site would be great for creators, fundraisers, charity, or anything. And one of the first fundraisers you could do on this website is for the website itself. You set up a little a thermometer, Bitcoin address, how much money you need to host the site for 1 year, how much money you need to host the site for 5 years. You could set up 2 or 3 fundraisers. And the basic idea here is, let's say that you're a kid and you want a guitar. So you set a goal of like $200. You don't have to have your Bitcoin address on this site. This site doesn't have to build wallets. They don't have to have custodial access to your Bitcoin. This also means that they can't charge fees. If you choose to donate to this site, you choose to donate. It's all voluntary. When the kid puts in his guitar and his goal, you could even have a gallery on the site of active fundraisers and completed fundraisers and most popular fundraisers and most number of donor fundraisers, all these things. And then you just have a whole series of thermometers. And if you're looking for something to donate to, because maybe you have too much Bitcoin, you could go here and you could see, hey, oh, this kid, he wants a guitar, $200. Oh, I don't care. And you could buy that kid a guitar. And the kind of thing, they could put a link to their website. They could put a graphic on there. There's all kinds of options here. But the main key is they don't have to hold your Bitcoin. I also think this would work for altcoins. You could paste in the altcoin address, say, hey, I'm accepting Ethereum. I want a guitar. And maybe the Ethereum people would buy you a guitar. So I think this is a really cool idea. I'm giving it away for free. I just want to use the website, have a fundraiser on there. Yeah, maybe you could put my fundraiser up near the top or something. That'd be cool. But no worries. Also, I've got a private post here on the Patreon. If you join the Mad Bitcoins Patreon, you can get in on the Mad Bitcoins Patreon only question and answer session. I found this cool site called sly.do, and I'm going to give it a try to see if anyone will ask me a question for my Patreon. I don't know exactly how this would be different than asking a question in chat, but if a bunch of questions collect in this site, and let's see if it loads. It's a site for just asking questions. You can just ask your question there. So you could be the first one. It's not too late. I enjoyed this tweet by Ian DiMartino. He said, fake Satoshi, Craig Wright, is up to his I'm Satoshi claims again. In an argument, he claimed he was a billionaire. A user doubted him. He then posted a pic of his alleged yacht. The yacht has an Icelandic flag, while Wright is Australian. He found the same image on freelancertours.com. And I'm not surprised. I saw when Craig Wright posted the image of the house and the yacht and the Lambo, and it just reminded me again. I was like, that's just what Satoshi would do, right? Remember when Satoshi bragged about all his wealth? Just seems just like him, yeah. And I think it's fun to watch a movie like Thor Ragnarok and think about where it was filmed. Image of a green screen. Jokes. And maybe a little later, I'll show you some more of my River Cats fireworks pictures from years ago. I do long exposures and make shapes with the images of light. I think it's pretty fun. I might try to do this tonight if I remember to bring my big camera. So I have settings and options to do things like this. It gets pretty interesting if you like them. And if you don't like them, that's cool too. I think some of them can be quite interesting designs. There's some circles. Pretty cool. Fireworks photos. And maybe a little later today, I'll do a reading of To Satoshi with Love. I think that we're at this point right here where Barbara has just confronted Satoshi and filmed him on YouTube. She ran across the room and attempted to pull his pink alien mask off, but it didn't come off. That means he's a real pink space alien. Dun, dun, dun. So we've got the call lines open now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. I've also got the brief history of money by Mad Bitcoins queued up and ready to go. So if we need to take a break or have a gap in the show, we can do that. But right now, go ahead and give us a call on Skype. And we're joined by Ricardo from Rico Coin Report. How's it going, Ricardo? Now, we can't hear you because you're muted, but we can see you.
Voilà. Bonjour tout le monde.
Ah, very nice. Paris in the background. Very cool.
It's beautiful. Thank God it's not as hot as it was earlier.
Yeah, it's hot. Is it humid there?
That's what it is. It's more humid than it is hot. It feels like it's just sticky everywhere, you know. And I don't have air conditioning, so it's not the thing here. So it should be. but it's not. So it's been pretty hot, but it's all right. Do what you got to do, man. Actually, I go running in the morning when it's cold. So that way, when it gets really hot, I can take it a little better. And then I go running in the evening when it gets cold, because that way, when you start to pick up a bit of sweat, it's cooling off, but it's getting later and earlier because it's always hot here. And I personally believe that there's a whole lot of geoengineering happening. But like last night at like 11 o'clock, I just saw lightning and there was no clouds anywhere. And it was the weirdest thing to see lightning. And then it would move somewhere else and there was lightning over there. And I was like, how is this possible? Geoengineering.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Nobody knows. But if you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network and talk to me and Ricardo, talk about what's going on with Bitcoin today. What do you think? Are we out of the bear market? Is this it?
You know, I just put out a show yesterday about this. And if anybody wants to follow me, go to Rico Coin Report. You can see me there. I've got a website as well, so I have a blog. But I don't think the bulls. I don't think it's a bull market, and I think people should be careful. They should be dollar cost averaging and being aware of the opportunities that are in front of you. So we could be looking at pre-Google, Amazon explosion. Email goes full force. Or we could be looking at another 3 or 4 months of this. So I'm not the one to. I just got into graphing and stuff, so it's a whole. And you had talked about this at the beginning, and something that what is his name? The mathematician, the Italian mathematician, Fibonacci. Excuse me. He believed that a lot of this marketing stuff. It's great because it works on 369. It works on the algorithms of numbers and the patterns, but at the same time, it can sometimes not be put into all the markets. Okay, if it's controlled, there you go. If it's like a new market, like cryptocurrency is, especially Bitcoin, because you watch Bitcoin, and I talk about this, the altcoins fluctuate with Bitcoin, and you can always. I always like to look at Ripple because it came up quick, and it alternates with Bitcoin. So right before Bitcoin is about to go down, Ripple it goes up, and then it sustains as Bitcoin's going down. Just my observation, but yeah. So I don't think we're in a bull market yet.
Well, looking at the charts again, it did reach almost 6,800. It hit 6,792, and then it's pulled back a little bit. If you remember the previous attempts at a rally, we could not get over, although it looks here a little bit over, but we couldn't really break that 6,800 level to get this rally return. If we look at it from a longer term, it does look like it's stepping upward, but we don't know. I still do think we could use a good piece of news like a Bitcoin ETF. They did loosen the rules on ETF recently. I think that's a good possibility that we'll see an ETF or another piece of news like Amazon or eBay, some large merchant using Bitcoin or Lightning. We need big news. Yeah.
We need something that's scalable. And I think what we're doing right now, the way it's going is going perfect. If this is the reverse, then people are watching history and they don't even know it, and sometimes that's what happens. You're literally sitting there and you wouldn't even know it, but there it goes. So people I think that every moment is a chance for you to look at the situation as it changes. And I don't know about everybody else, but this is something that I look at on the background. So I kind of, it's more like a screensaver for me with the cryptocurrency price. So I don't like to look at it I don't actually sometimes even look at the price. I just look at the graphing and see how it goes. And like you said, scale back and look at the bigger picture, because that is something that I did when I first got into cryptocurrency. And as I got really into it, I kind of started just staring at the numbers and then crunching numbers, and it gets you off into these tangents. And so I was like, you know what? Let's go back to patterns. Let's go back to the bigger picture, and we'll go from there. And you can't. It's like when you go running for the next best thing. People just go running, and sometimes you just can't stop. They're like greyhounds. The ears go back. They can't hear anything. They just go running for the white rabbit.
It's funny here in the chat, Hitesh, who worked on the new Star Trek show, he was responding to my joke about Thor Ragnarok, and he totally agrees with me. He's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The entire Star Trek show is shot in one room. So they just have these giant green rooms, and you tell the actor, okay, you know, you're in a portrait room, or oh, you're in a throne room, or oh, you're in a big hallway, or you're on a spaceship, and then the actor has to pretend he's on a spaceship." And it's so funny because I was watching the old Dick Tracy movie from 1995, and
Love
they
that
had to
movie.
build all these sets, and they had real gears that they chained her to, and they had to go to locations, and you can, you know, drive around and see where some of it was filmed, stuff like that. A lot of it's on the backlot, that movie and specifically. But yeah, it's so funny to see how movies have changed, and that they really Thor Ragnarok. And I'm not downing the movie; it's a great
No,
movie. It's
absolutely.
an adventure ride, and it's fun. But I think it was all shot on a green screen. I know
That
the first Thor movie was in, you know, the Earth and everything. It's Natalie Portman. It's all real, but this new one is just all green screen. So,
we're literally watching blue screens, green screens now. It's all we're watching. It's the movies have changed. That I agree with you on that. It's funny. I don't know when that all became the thing. I think Avatar must have been one of the first movies where it's like majority was shot literally all in green screens, blue screens, and they're just in this room with this screen. I used to live in LA, just on the bottom of Universal Studios. So I used to take a bus past Universal Studios every day, or drive past it, excuse me. And the lots are massive. I mean, they're just huge. And that's what acting should be. It shouldn't just be sitting at a computer with a light on you and then, but that's what all people need anymore. And that's what people want, you know? Look at these VR screens. There's just so much into they want to, you know, get you focusing on a 3D image that isn't reality, but can be if you, that brings you to what is reality, you know? And if you wake up and you're literally spending your entire time on a computer or plugged in, that's your reality, because once you leave it, it changes, you know? Let's say you go out to the outback or something like, just something where you've never been, where there's no telecommunications, there's no technology. And I think people need that. I think people really need that. But watching movies these days isn't what it used to be. I love that movie, Dick Tracy. And even the soundtrack is quite interesting. But they did an
I
awesome
think it's a
job with it.
great soundtrack too. Not only the score is really good, the music, you know, behind it, but then Madonna's songs, the reinterpreting of these 1920s and 30s songs. Whenever I watch it, I always tell people, I'm like, because I read about the movie and I was like, every color is the same color. They wanted to make it look like a comic book. So when they paint the background red, they use that same tone of red. And then when she has a red dress, same tone of red. And as you
Yeah.
see it, the movie draws you in with the colors and the makeup. And there's
Yeah.
so many great actors in the movie and actresses, like things like Kathy Bates plays the stenographer. She has this itty bitty role, but she just wanted to be in the movie. I don't know if these people are Dick Tracy fans or if Disney cashed out all their favors or something, but yeah, great movie. I love that Dick Tracy 1995.
That was definitely needs to be brought back. They have this new technology right now that's reminding me of what you're talking about, the color, that makes colors from black and white pictures and pictures that don't have any color, full color. And it's this new technology that is artificial intelligence, and it can almost just create anything from it's just memory now. Like it can just create pictures instead of just doing the color. It can like create the picture itself just from the idea of the picture. Now that's insane, because it kind of reminds me of the technology where you can make the person talk. Like you watch Obama and his mouth is moving, but it's somebody else talking, you know, but it's Obama's face with the mouth on it. So yeah, I think the old movies, the classics, the 1990s, that was it, man. I think that might have been the end of real movies. I mean, when technology hit, even watching Star Wars, that was all, you know, black, and these ships, these black screens in the background with these ships and these cameras, and you're just flying it right over the camera, you know. And that is insane, because now they wouldn't do that. If you look at any of the new Star Wars, it's completely digital. They're in a one-room place. And yeah, when you watch it without the digital and you just see them in front of the screen, it just, I don't know. It's not like acting, you know.
I'd actually like to see a version of that movie, of like the Star Wars or the Thor movie without any effects.
Mm.
Green
Wouldn't be
screen,
very
green
good.
screen, green screen. Thor and them acting, Thor and them acting, Thor fighting a mysterious non-existent feet creature, Thor cursing at the non-existent creature. Like, yeah, it's very
It
green
would be
screen.
terrible. It'd be terrible. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it is funny to go back to like Lawrence of Arabia or Ron by Akira
Classics.
Kurosawa and to see what special effects used to be like. They had hundreds of extras on horseback, hundreds of costumes on hundreds of extras, and they all had to go at the same time and they had to ride across the screen perfectly and all of this. It was amazing. And then you watch something like Game of Thrones now, they have the same scale as Lawrence of Arabia, the same scale as Ron, but it's all fake, right? You're like, oh, and it looks great. I mean, I'm not the CG is great these days.
Yeah.
The things in the background looked awesome, but no, it's not the same. It doesn't have the same verisimilitude or whatever. Verisimilitude. I don't know that big long word that means
The production
truth.
is completely different. When you get something that the production is like Dick Tracy and you see how much work they did. I mean, there's so many levels and layers of people looking at this photo or the entire synopsis, the cinema of it, that it's completely different. Yeah, I think that's why movies aren't the same anymore, because they've brought it down to a team of tech people. You've got each person is doing like 3 or 4 jobs, and production has completely changed. Whereas if you see some 1990s, even like what was it, Stanley Kubrick's, he's got some really good movies, and even movies like you were talking about before, like what was the movie you said?
Ron or Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia. That
Yeah.
whole entire era was epic. That was epic. And I think now there's even this fad or this thing people are trying to do where they're trying to not use cinematography. They're really trying to make it not like that. But people want that. They want that technological aspect. It's kind of like the new Blade Runner. That movie, the first one was insane. It was way ahead of its time. And now you've got this one. So it reminds me of the movies that were done previously and then were like, are redone. Tron is another one. But that's, even though it's a little bit technological, but yeah, the classics, that's where it's at, man. The gold, right?
Well, with Lawrence of Arabia, it's pretty neat. I haven't gotten it yet, but there's Blu-ray players, and now there's a new 4K Blu-ray player, the Blu-ray black discs, right?
What?
And what's great is I read about them, and they're like, yeah, just like the last time, this isn't going to make a bunch of movies look better. Like all your 80s, 90s, 2000s movies, they're not going to look any better.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the really new ones, Spider-Man, whatever just came out last year, they were filmed on digital, so they're going to go to 4K really good. But what they also said is your movies from the 60s, especially Lawrence of Arabia, things that were shot on scope in a 2:3:5:1, that big wide epic rectangle that you see,
Yeah.
that film is actually high resolution enough that it'll look great on this 4K Blu-ray black thing.
Mm.
So I kind of want to get it just to watch Lawrence of Arabia again and to see if you can pick out the grains of sand or something. I don't know.
I think there's going to be technology that's going to roll out. It's probably there already, but it literally is, you're in the scale of the movie. So let's say you're at Lawrence of Arabia and you look around and you're in the desert, and there's the pyramids and there's the Arabians and there's everything. And you're like, you can literally almost play in the entire movie. You can just watch it play and just sit there, or you can, pause and turn the entire thing or walk around it. Westworld, man. It's on the brink. I didn't get to watch it last night because I was editing my video, but yeah, I'll have to get back into that. I'm in season 2 starting. I just did season 2, episode 1. So I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm telling you, man, that technology exists, and if it doesn't, people hunger for it. Obviously, it's obvious. We're making movies about it. Do you remember that show Dollhouse? Oh God.
Oh yeah, James Cameron did it or something. The Terminator guy.
I don't know who made it. I probably,
Yeah, the
but
first couple, yeah.
it's all about artificial intelligence. Humans. That one's, I think, more about bodies that are like implanted with the brain, and these people they have to live through it because they're like in a jail sentence or something, and in the end, it just is actually a enslavement camp of people. And yeah, all these shows about artificial intelligence, I think we're lucky to be consciously alive now, because I wouldn't want to be meeting AI, you know, at my younger age, because I don't know what's going to happen, but everybody has their own input on it. And you've got these huge inventors and people who are massive technological moguls or bureaucrats or whatever, technocrats, and they want to live forever, and they're figuring this out, whether it's, you know, the whole thing with organs or like technological and storing your brain in its chip and then re-uploading it in a body. So I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Ghost in the Shell.
But yeah, the original, not the
Yeah,
new one.
the original.
Yeah.
And that whole idea of taking somebody's brain and, you know, taking them, let's just say you pass away, and I've got an Oregon driver's license that has a donor on the back. So if I die, I donate my organs to somebody who needs them. And I think once they're going to have like a brain card, they're going to donate your brain, and you're going to have to be uploaded, and you're just going to be this consciousness stuck. I don't know, maybe, but that's kind of like what Ghost in the Shell is all about. It's all about that. Like, these people are, they're artificial intelligence, but they're not, because they're aware, but they're stuck in a could you imagine being stuck in a robot body, but you don't know who you are?
Be pretty weird, just like that Black Mirror episode where they recreate that guy using his text messages. And the guy passes away or something. His wife like joins this program, and she uploads his emails and uploads his text messages. And pretty soon she has this robot that talks to her just like her husband. And in some ways, it's just as good, right?
I
But
haven't
yeah,
got into it.
oh yeah, Black Mirror is really good. I still have to watch the second season and so forth, or the third season. I think I watched the first two. But it's like a creepy Twilight Zone show. They take one aspect of technology and they blow it out of proportion. But it's all stuff that we could do now. It's not like we need something to be invented. There it is.
There it is. Everybody can see if they want.
Oh, that's not, wow, you are right next to a church.
I'm right behind a church. Thank God there's no neighbors.
Oh, very nice.
It's great.
Church in Paris. But yeah, we're just talking movies here on Bitcoin Talk Show. If you guys want to talk about Bitcoin or anything, give us a call on Skype, World Crypto Network. You can install Skype for free. You can get an account for free, and you can call us for free. I know it's
Absolutely.
shocking. Everybody in the chat seems to know everything today, but nobody seems to want to call in. So if you call in, you do kind of get a say about what we talk about. You can ask us a question, or you can give us your opinion. But if you don't call in, you don't. So tough times, man. They say that fedora would look great on a robot. Fashion advice for you. There you go. Ready to
start glitching.
robots.
Even if I start glitching.
Breakdowns. Yeah, I got to get that Westworld going. I have this season on the DVR. I love the last season, but I just somehow I'm disconnected. I feel like I watched a movie and it ended. And if I started again, I'm starting a new movie. But I just need to get it started. So
it is what it is.
Yeah, they say Westworld stole the idea from Star Trek. Kind of. I mean, even the brain thing we were talking about, we could go back to the Spock's brain episode where they put Spock's brain into a computer. And that was probably the first time that I thought about putting my brain into a computer. And it sounded pretty cool even back then. Vention's talking about how good his phone is, how he's a diesel mechanic and he has manuals for every vehicle and every piece of equipment he works on right on the phone, word searchable. And that's amazing. That really shows the magic of these phones. And I don't care if it's Android or it's Apple or whatever. You can have your religious holy war as long as you have one of these cool phone things and you can hit the internet, you can search things, you can get that kind of information that he's talking about, which is the ability, just to, it's like a superhuman ability. You're a cyborg. If you have your phone, you can get that information. If you don't have your phone, you have to remember it, the old fashioned way. So let's see what else they say. They're talking about Digibyte coin. That's good. What else are they talking about? Apple is good for those who don't want to take extra steps to protect themselves. But he likes his Android because you can plug in a USB stick. And I'd say that's a fair comparison. I think Apple is more of a walled garden. The apps are tested and secure, whereas Android, the apps could be viruses, and you have to run a task manager. You have to keep track of what programs you're running and that kind of thing. And I got away from Windows a long time ago. some noise there. I got away from Windows a long time ago, and I'm happy to be free from Windows. I never have to run a task manager. I never have to know what apps my phone is running. Apple just takes care of it. So I think that's been really good. They're saying gambling and stuff. I don't know. Getting political down here. I thought Doge was created as a joke. Yeah, I thought Doge was a joke too, but it keeps getting funnier. I don't know. Um, let's see. Talking movies. Yeah, what's wrong with talking movies? So yeah, I'll see if the chat has more stuff to say. If you have a question, you could always type, Q colon and put your question in the chat. Can't even set a MP3 as a ringtone on Apple. Gotta protect the music industry. That's true, but my phone vibrates. I never want it to ring. So
I was gonna say, if anybody wants to list their favorite artificial intelligence movie,
that'd be good. Check it out. I think 2001, Stanley Kubrick is a pretty strong film.
classic.
And let's see. As a friend of his says, I love living in the future. I agree. Appreciate your technology. I know they're going to try to make us feel bad about our technology soon. I know Apple's going to tell me how many times a day that I check Twitter and how often I'm looking at my phone. And it's going to freak everybody out because we're all way too into these phones. We're all addicts.
Yeah.
We're phone addicts. We're screen
Absolutely.
addicts.
Absolutely.
And as they give us more information, it's just going to tell us how bad it is. And remember, people like Facebook and other people made these apps on purpose to get you to check them all the time.
Yeah.
The little animation that they added to the ringing notification bell, that's not an accident. You need to be checking your notifications more often. Facebook needs your attention. Do I have your attention? Yes, I need it. So
That's so true. It does almost control our lives. The first thing you do is look at a screen, and most likely the last thing you do is look at a screen.
you won't have last words. You'll have last screen. What was the last screen he looked at? Oh, he was into Twitter. Oh, he was into Instagram. I mean, that's what we're going to have.
Well, my wife, she reads, and she has a Kindle, and I can always tell when she's asleep because the Kindle light is out, so there's no light from the screen. And I know it's a softer screen light, but it's the exact same thing. I usually end up making sure that I'm set for the next day, my schedule or the week, before I go to sleep, and it's through a screen. So sad story, but we are controlled by these things. We actually already in a pre-stage of the Matrix.
Definitely. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Jonathan, and I'm in San Francisco.
All right. I love San Francisco. What's on your mind about Bitcoin today, Jonathan, or do you want to talk about movies?
So, no, I don't want to talk about movies. I have two thoughts. Let me see if I can. Here.
Okay. I can't hear that. So we're having trouble. Are you still with us, Jonathan? Oh, blinking.
Maybe.
I think I might be going out of Wi-Fi. I'll just stand right here.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Go ahead, Jonathan. What were your questions today? Go ahead.
So I have two thoughts. What was my first thought? These are like meta observations. Thomas, I love what you're doing, and I miss you in San Francisco.
Oh, thank you.
One thought was, actually, this is not a meta observation, but how much is the rent in Las Vegas versus San Francisco? Like, what is your cost of living and experience like? Kind of a meta question.
Sure. The rent in basically for my apartment in San Francisco, and I was fortunate to be in a very nice neighborhood. I was in Russian Hill. I had the cheapest, smallest apartment in the best neighborhood. So I was happy with that. I paid for half of it. And what I paid for half is similar to what we pay for the entire house now. I used to have one bedroom, a kitchen, and a bathroom and a hallway. And that was it. The hallway, no Game of Thrones, no couch, nothing like that. But now I have a real house. I have an upstairs and a downstairs. I have a room that I can watch TV in. I have this room here that's like an office. I have a bedroom. It's amazing. So yeah,
it's affordable.
There's more space here. And I've read some articles. They say the food is cheaper. Doctors are cheaper. The entertainment is cheaper. Basically, everything is cheaper.
Yeah. So I want to share an observation I heard, which is that a one-way U-Haul from San Francisco to Austin costs 5 times more than the same thing from Austin to San Francisco. Which
I've even heard that for Las Vegas, they'll pay you to take it back. So many people are moving from SF to Vegas. They have tons of U-Hauls here. And they're like, yeah, you'll take it to the San Francisco. Oh, free. Just get it out of here.
Yeah. So there's a brain drain, man, and it's expensive. I mean, I'm over here in Oakland right now, and it's not a great neighborhood. I mean, you look over there, it's pretty ghetto, and yet I'm paying $1,000 for a room.
Whoa!
Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, Vegas. I've seen the market because I was looking for my house and stuff. $1,500, you get a house, and I'm talking like 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, upstairs, downstairs. 2,000, 2,500, you get a pool, you get a backyard. I mean, yeah, it's hot here. I run the AC all the time. I stay inside. But yeah, and especially for computer people, like if my job is like sitting here at this computer. So if I can do this comfortably, I'm pretty much set, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a programmer or anything like that, you're pretty much sitting at a computer. You can do that anywhere. Why not Las Vegas?
Be right.
Okay, so not to extend the off-topic issue.
All topics are
the social life and the culture and the like technology, energy, and meetups, all that. How do you feel living there?
Well, I mean, it's not San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco is nice. I'd get a notification on my phone. The Bitcoin developers meetup was happening, and I'd hop in the lift and go down there. The San Francisco Bitcoin meetup's a very big meetup. I was working there for about 3 years. We'd been going for at least 5. So that's not quite the same. I mean, my meetup is starting off very slowly, but that's also because I started from scratch. The Bitcoin meetup that was here has about 700 members. And you know how meetup is, if you don't pay your meetup fees, you get taken over. So the people that run that Bitcoin meetup now keep putting up Bitcoin Cash meetups. So that's a little disappointing, but I hear that some people do still go, and like 30, 40 people go, and they're not really Bcashers, but they have no choice because someone took over their meetup. So there's not quite as much energy, but there is a lot of tech companies here. I met a couple of guys at the meetup who say they work at like a shop, and the shop has 3 other Bitcoin companies or altcoin companies or whatever. And so it is starting to happen. And I think Zappo is here, the shoe selling company from Amazon. They built a big headquarters here. That's happening. Entertainment wise, I mean, I go to like Vegas shows pretty much about once a week, trying to, appreciate living here because I probably won't live here forever. And it's pretty good. You can just drive around. I don't know. It's all strip malls. There's every kind of chain restaurant you want to eat at, and you don't want to eat at any of them. But there's a supermarket around every corner. It's very flat. It takes a lot of getting used to from San Francisco. But yeah, I think it's fun. And I think also what we're doing here is we have a year lease on this place, and we're trying it out. And if Vegas is good and the meetup takes off and we like it here, we'll try to stay maybe. I also think there's a tax benefit here. They don't have a state income tax. They don't have a state capital gains tax. You still do have to pay federal.
California taxes, man.
That's it, man. It's a big deal. That extra capital gains in California is like one of the highest in the nations. And if you're going to sell your Bitcoins, you're going to pay capital gains tax if you don't want to go to jail. And I don't want to go to jail. I'm paying my taxes. I tell you to pay your taxes, especially if you touch fiat. If you're in the Bitcoin, you're doing the trading. I don't know. That's complicated. Get an accountant. But for me, if you cash it out, pay the tax.
Yeah.
That's a whole topic. It might be wise to actually relocate to Vegas or Nevada or a state with no state taxes if you're going to sell.
Well, I think it's a good topic, and I think you start out at the top. I think Vegas is a good one. I think New Hampshire is a good one. And I'd also say Puerto Rico now is starting to look like a good one. In Puerto Rico, they have no taxes at all. They have a special deal trying to attract foreigners and business, and they gave up on taxes. So that's why you see that article with Brock Pierce and all these other guys moving to Puerto Rico. They have those altcoin games.
That's a little much. I can do Vegas. I don't know about Puerto Rico though.
That was exactly my thinking. I was like, hey, even Vegas, very hot. I don't like that. But also doesn't snow. Big plus. If you're in a place that snows, get out. I don't know what you're doing there. I always said, like, if it snowed twice in a year, I would be like, you guys got me. It happened last year. It happened again this year. I'm gone. I'm
Right.
gone.
Well,
So
so my criteria is that if you go outside and you're gonna die, you shouldn't live there. And if it's freezing outside, I mean, snow is one thing, but if it's like freezing cold, deathly temperatures, you just shouldn't live there. That's a bad idea for a human being.
my buddy Blake lives up in Minnesota, and he'll talk about that thing where, you know, you spit and it freezes on the way to the ground. Or you know, if you don't have your face covered, your nostrils will freeze or your mouth will start freeze. Just forget it. Just forget. Like after 24 hours or whatever, I'd be like, oh, it's too cold here. You can keep my stuff. I'm gone. Like send it along after me. Like get a moving guy and just get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then my second topic. I've noticed a huge uptick in your casts recently, and I watch them on my TV. I'm like always into the WCN. I love you. I love Vortex. Like, love what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering. This is a meta observation question. Are you diluting the value of the WCN by doing casts every day, doing shows every day? Like when I tune into the Bitcoin group on Sunday, like I'm expecting awesome stuff. And day to day now, I tune in and it's kind of good. And like, you know, you might read a little bit, but is it getting diluted? Are you concerned about this?
Not really. I mean, I really think you do more shows, you get more viewers. And a lot of the growth of the WCN started last year when I said that we should do the Today in Bitcoin show and we should do it every day. And I told people, I said, hey, do you want to help me do this show? And some people joined the show and they helped me for a little while doing the show. But then they left to do their own projects. We have a lot of this on the World Crypto Network where people come and they help for a little while and then they move on. And some people just need more control of their own stuff. Some people just need more money. But I think that we have to keep plugging along and we have to keep adding new people to this network and to this show. I think that it's more of, I agree. Yeah, it's going to be hit or miss, but I think that more content is better so that you can enjoy Bitcoin news or Bitcoin group as a regular weekly show, but still have this talk show to come back to. And just in general, like, yeah, you can turn on the talk show and it's always going to be okay. And sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. We had a conversation the other day about work that I think was really good.
I got you. I think my only other question is, like, when I look back 100 years from now and there are archaeologists trying to understand what happened with Bitcoin in the early days, they're going to have to wade through a lot of bullshit on WCN. Sorry, bull stuff on WCN. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe it's just about what's in the moment, and it's not really. Maybe I'm too self-conscious in my thinking.
Well, I think that, I mean, we're used to television where people present shows and like 30 or 40 people work on it and people write scripts and there's a lot of work being done and there's people are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and things. This is very ad hoc. I don't have any money. The network doesn't have any money. Like when people leave, it's not because we, you know, couldn't pay them what they want. It is because we couldn't pay them what they wanted or we couldn't give them what they wanted. So I've always thought of this and the Mad Bitcoins as a primary source history project. We're creating in the real time. What did you think July the 4th, 2018 about Bitcoin? If you want to see what I thought about it in the past, you can go back and watch it. And I used to worry about like a researcher having to watch it all. And I thought that'd be great and cool. And now what I know from what's happening now, what's going to happen in the future is the AI is already transcribing what I'm saying. So it's breaking it down, putting it into a text. Once it's text, it can just be scanned. So once it's all scannable, then the AI can just ask 100 questions. How many times did they mention Ripple? How many times did they mention Dogecoin? And then it can stack them up. And I imagine a future where a researcher will go through and watch little clips selected for him by the AI from the World Crypto Network archives, and they'll be able to present a picture of what we thought about Bitcoin in the time period. And a lot of it looks pretty prescient now. If you go back, Mad Bitcoins tells you to buy Bitcoin at $300. That's a good buy. A lot of it we're wrong. You go back, we were wrong about Ethereum. We thought it looked like a scam because they were raising money with no product and no code. And all they had is a countdown timer. And that looks super fishy to us. But it turned out the whole market disagreed and people bought it. And maybe it goes up and it goes down. And in the future, they look back and they're like, yeah, they were right, but not in the short term, in the long term. Or maybe we're wrong in the long term too. But it's all there. It's all part of the history, part of the archive. And I think we're just contributing to it. So Yeah, I would like to see. I mean, I always thought that we could be like a CNN with 24 hours of content and have different guest hosts come on and off from different time zones, and that would just keep the ball rolling. But sadly, I don't seem to get people that want that dream, people that want to work on that. I get people that want to come and go and kind of use us as a springboard to make themselves more popular. And they just kind of take our audience and try to copy it and go and copy everything we do. And that could be pretty frustrating when you're trying to do this for 4 or 5 years and you've worked with all kinds of different people. And some of them just want to take over and copy and do everything themselves. So it's frustrating. But again, if we had money, maybe we could pay them. So I don't know, but we just keep kind of plugging along at this, doing the shows. And yeah, I think more shows is better.
Very cool, Thomas. Thank you. I mean, I wake up many days and I turn on WCN and I love it. And thank you for, I'm sure you put more thought into it than I have. Thank you for sharing your perspective on that.
Sure. Thanks
Also,
so much for the call.
Ripple, let's see, Tron, Ripple. Is that going to get picked up by the AI?
There you go, dude. They're going to be searching for it. They'll be like, on one day, they mentioned Tron and Ripple at the same time. Must mean something.
Thanks, man. I'm going to go.
Thanks so much.
Here.
Yeah, give us a call anytime. All right. And you can call us now on Skype World Crypto Network, all one word. Just call in. You don't have to have video. You can just have audio if you want. And what do you think, Rico? Should we expand the network or should we have a limited network?
You know, I think that was excellent feedback and input and question. I think what he's talking about is the quality of the World Crypto Network. He wants to keep that. He wants to keep the core. And I think he's absolutely right. But with that, I think we do need to grow. And Bitcoin is international and it's 24-hour market. I think with that being said, those who are in it realize it's going to hit its things along the days of each market as it goes. So I do think we need to have 24 hours. I think it's a really good goal. It's not an easy goal. It's an attainable goal, but it will take time and it will be a lot of changes and movements. And I've never heard the inside story of. I've been watching you guys for quite some time. I don't know the inside story, and it's not my place to ask, you know. So, but that's interesting. That's a really good comment. I think your answer to the comment was also very good. I think we do need to have that 24 hours.
We also have a technological thing I can tell you about now. Previously, YouTube would only let us stream one thing at a time. So we were really kind of limited. So if I'm doing Bitcoin Talk Show, Vortex could not do Bitcoin News Show. But now YouTube has enhanced their technology. We can stream 2 things at a time. So it's possible that we could have a mainline Bitcoin Talk Show running all day long with different guests and different hosts in different time zones. And people could still go on and do a focus show with guests that's pre-written or a pre-recorded show. You can do those. And they're starting to add features like Twitch has, where you can do a broadcast premiere. So if you have a pre-recorded video, it's been harder to get views for those recently. I did a pre-recorded video. It took me, pretty much all day, writing, reading, editing, reading out loud, editing the video, adding the graphics, promoting the thing. It takes me all day. And, it didn't do as well in views as the live show did. And the live show, I just read a couple articles and turn the camera on. So that's frustrating from the amount of work it takes to make that. Maybe if I use the YouTube Premiere system, I would be able to get more things, but that's just a new feature they've added recently. But once again, you can get involved in the World Crypto Network. You can call in. I think the call-in shows have been a great way to discover new panelists and new potential co-hosts and even show hosts and that kind of thing. And that's really where we've gotten everyone else in the past. Vortex just showed up. He wanted to talk about Bitcoin. I said, stop bugging me, do a show. And then he started doing a show on Blab. And then he kept bringing in some guests and some people. And then he started doing the show on our channel here. And it's been really good. And a lot of other people have come along the same way, and they come and they go. You can go back to the archives. We did shows with Andreas Antonopoulos, Christoph Atlas, Chris Ellis, Theo Goodman, my friend Blake Anderson, a bunch of people. And they're all welcome back. But they all go their own way. Sometimes they have to get jobs. Sometimes they're just greedy and they have to own everything and they need more money, and they're kind of egocentric and all about themselves, and they name everything after themselves. And it's unfortunate we have those people because they drain the energy from the whole project, right? This is a sharing project. When I do a show on here, I have the choice, right? I could have just stayed on the Mad Bitcoins channel. I had the Mad Bitcoins channel, and I had the Bitcoin group channel, and I was doing fine. I started the World Crypto Network because I wanted someone other than me to talk about Bitcoin, right? That was the point, right? So other people would do shows and we would contribute as a shared team, as a news team. We'd come together for these live shows. We wouldn't just steal the idea of the live show and put it on our own network. That's not this. So it can be frustrating, but I was thinking about this morning, we're the little engine that can, right? There's no could here. Bitcoin's fine. World Crypto Network's fine. We're going to keep doing these videos. So let's see what's going on out here. If you'd like to give us a call in the chat, you can call us on World Crypto Network, all one word, on Skype. We're talking about Bitcoin. It's the 4th of July. Maybe I'll show some more fireworks pictures. Are you going to the fireworks tonight? Here we go. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. What's going on out there? You got a question about Bitcoin or want to talk about fireworks pictures?
All right, good deal. Those fireworks pictures are pretty awesome.
Thanks,
but I'm calling from Charlotte, and you'll see me in the streams by CoinHawk Crypto. I just want to give a shout in, man, and tell you that I think this is an awesome show, awesome platform. Open source is a big thing, and open source actually rules and runs the internet, and Bitcoin is like the ultimate open source project. And I just think it's a great platform that you got here. And, I just want to continue to support it and, share my views. And I think it's just like an awesome platform.
That's great. Thanks so much. And I do think open source is the key term here. When I have the World Crypto Network and I have to try to defend it too, I have to try to make sure that it stays open source. So other people have more corporate ideas and more money-making ideas. And I'm not opposed to that. I want to make money. I want to have a organized corporation and such. But I want it to have its true to its roots and that open source nature and that not being influenced by other things nature and not gambling on things and just kind of, journalism as well. Hunter S. Thompson, being a journalist, reporting to the public, having those high standards. We need all those things. And I think we can do it here.
Yep.
Do you have any comments about Bitcoin? Do you think it's bullish or bearish, or did Satoshi Nakamoto write that book?
Yeah, I totally don't think Satoshi wrote that book. That's for sure. But I do think that what Bitcoin is at the brink of is where big money really is coming in, and we just kind of have to be ready for it. I think they're building that baseline, with that Coinbase custody account. I mean, the minimum is like 10 million, I believe. So you figure if they sell
minimum 10 million, sorry, whoa.
I think that's the minimum for the custody account. So, I mean, they are marketing and selling to some very big players that just don't want the hassle of controlling their keys. Like I work in technology and, I help people with setting up internet service and fiber service. And, people really don't like to worry about passwords and connecting and disconnecting and security. Sometimes they just want to pay and get it done. So I think that's where things are headed. They're trying to make it easier and initially easier for people with really big money. So if we're ready and if we're in the game and, we can kind of watch what Bitcoin is doing and it's going up, it's still the market leader. It will stay there as kind of that main piece there.
I think that's a great point. And yeah, I'm shocked to learn that they have a $10 million floor. It's quite a lot to invest.
Right.
Let's get Rico's comments here. Rico, do you agree? Do you think Coinbase is putting us in a good position with this $10 million, get these major investors in?
Well, I'm going to tell you my position on the whole thing. Coinbase was a great way to get, it is a great way to get your Bitcoin currency, your cryptocurrency. And it's one way that I've used it. But after hearing what Max has said and hearing from somebody who is dealing with finances every single day, especially in Bitcoin specifically, I don't know if I can support them fully like I used to. All right. That being said, I've looked abroad, and there's peer-to-peer. You can literally just meet the person. There's a website that I was given to by Max. I don't know it off the top of my head, but you can meet the person. You can go through SKYPE. There's all these different ways you can exchange, and there's a long list of each person that takes it a certain way. Excuse me for ranting, but I don't think that Coinbase is what it's doing is going to be good in the end. It's a control again, you know.
Well, we all know the best way to buy Bitcoins is local Bitcoins, meet a guy, make friends with him, then buy him off the market, or go to a Bitcoin meetup, make friends with people, buy them off the market. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to transfer money in their bank account, especially if you want to invest large amounts. I imagine that would work for a few $100s, but anything beyond that, yeah, you're probably gonna have to go through Coinbase or something like that. Sign of the
Yeah,
times.
so I agree. I think in the long run, Coinbase will probably not be great for the little and small investor. I'm pretty sure at some point it's going to be like, oh, wow, I remember when Coinbase was kind of the only place to get in for a regular person with just a bank account, you know, so at that level. I think at some point it'll be, oh, we need accredited investors to get in through Coinbase. And so it'll hurt the little man. But you know, that's where the free market comes in, and where ideas like, you know, peer to peer, where you really say, okay, I trust that I can, you know, come with this cash and I'm going to get some Bitcoin, and, you know, there's no safety risk and all there. So I think there'll be those different levels at some point. But in the meantime, I think Coinbase will continue to be just like a leader, at least in the States, of getting people into the market, getting people into Bitcoin, you know, one way or another, whether they come in through there as a gateway and then, you know, dive into whatever other, you know, exchange or business, or, you know, accepting crypto as a merchant or whatever. But I think that'll still be a window in.
I think there's a possibility that us commoners who don't have $10 million might not be too welcome at Coinbase in the future. If they can get a couple of those clients, because that's what Zappo figured out. They're like, hey, if we just hold millionaires' money, we have less clients. We need less support people. We need less of everything except for security. They need tons of security. But other than that, yeah, it's a good strategy. And we might have to go to Cash App or something like that. We'll have to say in the future, do you want to buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin or 10,000 or 20,000? You know, oh, well, you better use this or you better use that. I think they'll be just like Lightning Network. There'll be like some things that are good for small amounts, some things that are good for large amounts. And those with you with a $10 million problem, Coinbase is ready to serve you now, I guess. But thanks so much for your call, and give us a call anytime. It's good questions.
Thanks. All right. Good deal. Bye.
All right. And you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. And you can have video or not. We're trying a video out today on my shared computer there. Eventually, I do need to get like a shared computer that's a remote desktop that's not at my house. And then maybe I could share that shared computer with multiple people. Then we could have multiple people host this show throughout different time zones. That's the basic idea that we're going for there. And we've been building this idea of the World Crypto Network for at least 4 years now. And it started out, I watched the movie Anchorman 2. You should go check out not just Anchorman, but the much maligned sequel, Anchorman 2, where he talks about basically they create the first CNN/Fox News. And it's a great movie. The second half's a little strange. He goes blind. But if you watch that first half with the news team and he needs to get the news team back together, that's what the World Crypto Network is. This is the news team, and we're going to work together to cover the Bitcoin. And you can join us even by just calling in now on Skype at World Crypto Network. You can be a part of this. So we might even take a break if there are no calls. What do you think, Ricardo? Should we take a break and watch one of my Mad Bitcoins history videos as it is the
Just
4th
do
of
it,
July?
man.
All right.
I want to see this. Yeah, this would be a good replay.
All right, so let's see this. I'm going to get it set up here. It's going to take some technical know-how, some screen share off and on. And then also
Okay.
I'm going to tell you the date of this video. So this video is from December 29th, 2014. So it's quite old by internet standards. But let's check it out. We'll come back in just about 5 minutes.
Perfect.
Maybe I'll play. I mean, there's another one that's 3 minutes. There's 4 minutes. Okay, we're going to play just the 5-minute one now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about this. This is a brief history of money in the United States, how monetary policy led to the revolution. And for some of you that know your history, this might be old hat, but for others of you, this might be very interesting. And again, this is before the internationals get upset. This is America focused. This is the 4th of July. So we're going to talk about America. So here we go. Let's try Mad Bitcoins, a brief history of money in the United States. Morning, Bitcoins, and welcome to Mad Bitcoins, a brief history of money in the United States. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws. Mayor Amschel Rothschild. In the beginning, there were 3 types of money in the colonies: commodities, coins, and paper money. The money was generally denominated in pounds, shillings, and pence, just like in Great Britain. However, most of the coins were from Spanish dollars, leading to the money of the United States to be denominated in dollars rather than pounds. However, one cannot live on Spanish dollars alone. Soon the colonies were issuing paper money, with Massachusetts leading the way, printing paper money to pay for a military expedition during King William's War, aka the Second Indian War, or the North American theater, the 9 Years' War, a war between England and France, also known as the War of the Grand Alliance, or the War of the League of Augsburg, fought between 1688 and 1697, not to be confused with the similarly named but unrelated Irish War of 1594 to 1603. Special thanks to Wikipedia for making me look smart. Anyway, the northern colonies, who were often at war, overprinted the paper money, leading to rampant inflation. Inflation so bad it angered British, actually Scottish economist Adam Smith, who criticized it in his most famous work, The Wealth of Nations. The inflationary nature of the currency, wrote Smith, was a violent injustice to the creditor, a scheme of fraudulent debtors to cheat their creditors. As a result of Smith's criticism, the British Parliament passed several currency acts to regulate the paper money issued by the colonies. The Currency Act of 1751 restricted the emission of paper money in New England. It allowed the existing bills to be used as legal tender for public debts, but disallowed their use for private debts. Hence the later notation on U.S. bills that the bills are for all debts, public and private. These early bills weren't. You could now only use them to pay taxes. You had to convert your dollars into pounds to pay merchants. This currency confusion would in some ways lead to the Revolutionary War. But the war wasn't really started over that. It was started over sugar. Molasses, really. In 1733, the British Parliament passed the Molasses Act, designed to protect the sugar plantation owners of the British West Indies. This act was hated in the colonies and largely unpaid by the colonists, who relied on smugglers instead. The Molasses Act expired in 1763 and was soon followed by the Sugar Act of 1764. The economic impacts of the Sugar Act were mostly felt in New England, where the prices rose and the colonists worried about being priced out of the market. Meanwhile, the hated British West Indies continued to prosper. The Sugar Act helped ferment revolutionary ideas in America, leading to Samuel Adams writing that, "If taxes are laid upon us in any shape without our having a legal representation where they are laid, are we not reduced from the character of free subjects to the miserable state of tributary slaves?" A year later, Parliament passed the Stamp Act of 1765. The Stamp Act required that printed materials in the colonies must be produced on stamped paper from London, including legal documents, magazines, playing cards, and newspapers. The purpose of the act was to cover the costs of British soldiers stationed in the colonies after the British victory in the 7 Years' War, aka the French and Indian War, not to be confused with the Northern 7 Years' War of 1563 to 1570 fought between Sweden and an alliance of Denmark, Norway, and Poland, or the Japanese invasions of Korea between 1592 and 1598. The colonists believed that the British troops were unnecessary and that they could defend themselves against Native Americans as they always had. The colonist slogan was, no taxation without representation. The act was repealed in 1766, but Parliament followed with the Declaratory Act, declaring that Parliament had the same authority in America that it had in Britain. More taxes and regulations were soon to follow. By 1775, the American Revolution had begun. This has been Mad Bitcoins, a brief history of money in the United States, continental currency, and how monetary policy led to the Revolutionary War. Mad Bitcoins will return in the first bank of the United States, or when Alexander Hamilton gets his way. All our children have to pay. Until next time, be sure to subscribe, donate, and comment. Bye-bye. Man, I think that was pretty fun. I might just play the next one. The next one's shorter. Oh, cool. It goes to oh, it's a different screen. That's so confusing. That was cool. It was going to play a Deke Jackson video. The guy that does the FKN news. I really like that guy. But yeah, the next one's short. It's only 3.5 minutes. Let's check that out, and then we'll do the third one. So yeah, you're getting a lot of history of money today, but it's been a pretty long Bitcoin talk show. This one's also from May 31st, 2015.
Wow.
So that's like 6 months after the last one. These ones I actually had to write, and then I had to read them out loud. I had to do research on Wikipedia, and I had to remember what I know from my history degree. So let's just watch a short one, Mad Bitcoins, The History of Money, Part 2. Good morning, Bitcoins, and welcome to Mad Bitcoins, a brief history of money in the United States. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws. Mayor Amschel Rothschild. After the Revolutionary War began in 1775, the Continental Congress began issuing its own paper currency, known as the Continental Currency, or just the Continental. Denominated in dollars ranging from 1/6 of a dollar to $80, with many odd denominations in between, the currency depreciated badly during the war due to overprinting and a lack of coordination between Congress and the states, leading to the famous phrase, "not worth a continental." The Continental was also plagued by counterfeiting by the British, who attempted and succeeded in devaluing the currency during the war. By 1778, the Continental had lost 80% of its value. By 1780, it had lost 97%, and the bills had stopped circulating. The failure of the Continental led to the creation of the Bank of North America in 1782. The bank deposited large quantities of gold and silver obtained through loans from the Netherlands and France, and then issued paper currency backed by those deposits. By 1787, the bank was rechartered as the Bank of Pennsylvania and stripped of its central banking functions. The failure of the Continental also led the Constitutional Convention to include the gold and silver clause into the United States Constitution, barring individual states from issuing bills of credit or making anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. This restriction also extended to the federal government, leaving Congress with only the power to borrow money on credit, which they would soon exercise. Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury, had a three-part plan. He believed a central bank, a federal mint, and excise taxes were needed to help stabilize and improve the nation's credit. Proposed during the first session of Congress in 1790, the bank faced widespread opposition from the Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. They believed that the establishment of a central bank was dangerous to the sound monetary system and was mostly to the benefit of business interests in the commercial North, not the agrarian South. Jefferson famously said in opposition, "If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, the banks and the corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered." Despite his opposition, on February 25, 1791, President George Washington signed the bank bill into law. However, a mere 4 years later, after Alexander Hamilton had left office, the new Secretary of the Treasury, Oliver Wolcott, informed Congress that more money was needed, and they could get it by raising taxes or selling the government shares of stock in the bank. The government chose the latter, and despite Hamilton's opposition, the stock was sold, and the bank's charter was allowed to expire in 1811. This has been Mad Bitcoins, A Brief History of Money in the United States, Revolutionary Money, and the First Bank of the United States. Mad Bitcoins will return in the Second Bank of the United States, or when Andrew Jackson kills something, it dies. Until next time, be sure to subscribe, donate, and comment. Bye-bye. All right, and I think Ricardo has to take off. So, Ricardo, you just want to say goodbye, or?
You guys, thank you for letting me co-host, and Thomas, thank you for letting me co-host. You guys are awesome. Come check me out if you want at Rico Coin Report. Until then, bye-bye, guys.
Bye, Ricardo. And we're just going to play the one more clip here. Mad Bitcoin's Brief History of Money Part 3. This one was June of 2015. So only a month after the last one. And also, this was the last one I did. I didn't follow up like I said I would. So I still kind of owe you some more Mad Bitcoins history videos. I'll have to get to that sometime. But here it is, Volume 3, my favorite title, When Andrew Jackson Kills Something, It Dies. Good morning, Bitcoins, and welcome to Mad Bitcoins, a brief history of money in the United States. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws. Mayor Amschel Rothschild. After the War of 1812, a war that was started by hawks in the United States who believed, it turned out falsely, that Canada would love to join the US and that Britain wouldn't make much of a fuss if we invaded Canada. They minded, burned down the White House. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk to you about today. After the War of 1812, the federal government was disorganized, but the political climate was good. So good, they called it the era of good feelings, with both southern and western states favoring the development of national programs and institutions, including, hey, why not, a brand new central bank. This time they called it the Second Bank of the United States. Ooh, clever. A sequel. Catchy title. Those in favor of the bank believed it would regulate currency, create physical order, and secure government bonds. Those opposed invoked Jefferson to protect agrarianism, state sovereignty, and slavery. Yes, that's right, slavery. We've got some strange bedfellows, but I believe the general idea is that the bank turns the government into the government on steroids, an incredible Hulk stomping all over your rights everywhere, even your right to own a slave. The charter was signed into law by James Madison on April 10, 1816. The bank was a disaster from the start. Under the management of its first president, William Jones, the bank failed to control paper money from its branches in the West and the South, and contributed to the post-war speculative land boom. After the Panic of 1819, when U.S. markets collapsed, the bank continued its tight money policies that exacerbated mass unemployment and plunging property values. Meanwhile, the directors of the Baltimore office were engaging in fraud and larceny. Hubba, 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 this story's got everything. After such a great string of successes, Jones was replaced by Langdon Cheves, who, shock, continued contracting credit in an attempt to strengthen the bank, while the economy entered into a protracted recession with mass unemployment and a sharp drop in property values. Then came Andrew Jackson. President Jackson believed that the bank had failed to produce a stable national currency and that it lacked constitutional legitimacy. More on that second point later. He said that the bank was a corrupt institution and dangerous to American liberties. Jackson once said to his vice president, Martin Van Buren, "The bank, Mr. Van Buren, is trying to kill me, but I will kill it." Jackson was famous for his volcanic temper and often dueled, killing at least one man who had besmirched his wife's honor. Old Hickory, the big block of cheese, was not to be messed with. Jackson also said, "Independent of its misdeeds, the mere power, the bare existence of such a power, is a thing irreconcilable with the nature and spirit of our institutions." It was a bloody battle, but Jackson defeated the bank, vetoing the recharter bill, removing federal deposits, and ending the Second Bank of the United States as a financial and political force. On the last day of his presidency, Jackson admitted that he had but two regrets: that he had been unable to shoot Henry Clay, or to hang John C. Calhoun, the two senators who had created the Second Bank of the United States in 1816. This has been Mad Bitcoins, a brief history of money in the United States, the Second Bank of the United States, and when Andrew Jackson kills something, it dies. Mad Bitcoins will return in The Creature from Jekyll Island, The Nightmare on Christmas Eve, or How Woodrow Wilson Learned to Stop Worrying and Sign Crippling Legislation. Until next time, be sure to subscribe, donate, and comment. Bye-bye. And that's about it for a bit recap of monetary history in America. Thanks so much for watching Bitcoin Talk Show. Thanks for chatting with us. The price of Bitcoin is $6,665, down from a high of $6,792, but up from a recent low of $6,413. Remember, you can support the World Crypto Network by donating now to the addresses on your screen. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Doge, Dash, Vertcoin, Ethereum Classic. We've got them all. Check it out here on the World Crypto Network. And thanks for supporting us on the Patreons too. I've got some more firework pictures. There's some S's. They're getting pretty out of control there. I like this one. But that's about it. Have a safe and great 4th of July. Don't drink too much. Don't get heat stroke. Drink lots of water. And until next time, bye-bye.